Each dawn at 5:30, I fasten my apron at Grandpa James' diner in Northeast Portland, pouring coffee for weary construction workers and early rising retirees. My hands carried the scent of grease and dish soap. My feet throbbed, and I earned $8 an hour, plus whatever tips customers could spare. Meanwhile, my older brother Jake would glide by in his sleek black Audi Q7, designer sunglasses perched on his nose, leather briefcase resting on the passenger seat, heading to his high-rise law firm downtown where he charged $300 an hour. He'd slow just enough to flash a smug grin through the diner's window, shaking his head as if I were a disappointment. When Grandpa passed, Jake inherited the $800,000 suburban house. I was left with the weathered diner, valued at $50,000, and I felt utterly betrayed. That is, until I discovered the letter tucked away in Grandpa's old desk drawer, and everything shifted. James Corner Diner stood on a quiet street in Northeast Portland, Oregon, in a neighborhood where working families had put down roots for decades. The 70-year-old building boasted faded red vinyl booths, a checkerboard floor worn by time, and a jukebox in the corner that only spun tunes from the 1960s. The neon sign out front flickered, especially during Portland's near-constant rain from October to May. I'm Lily, 24, and I've worked at that diner since I was 16. At 20, I made the toughest choice of my life. I left Portland State University, where I was studying to become a teacher, because Grandpa James was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Someone needed to keep the diner running and drive him to his weekly cardiology visits at Providence Heart Clinic. That someone was me. My brother Jake, 28, took a different road. He graduated from Lewis and Clark Law School, secured a job at Morris and Fletcher downtown, and within 3 years became a star corporate litigator. He dressed in Tom Ford suits, carried a Mont Blanc pen, and lived in a chic Pearl District apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Willamette River. But Jake didn't visit Grandpa. Maybe once every 2 months, he'd pop in for 20 minutes, distracted by his phone, always citing a deposition or client dinner. His monthly Sunday calls lasted 5 minutes, asking about Grandpa but never truly listening. I was the one holding Grandpa's hand in the cardiologist's waiting room, mastering his signature blueberry pancakes, and staying late to help him count the register, even as his trembling hands fumbled the coins. Every Sunday, Grandpa and I shared dinner in the diner's back booth. He'd cook his famous pot roast, and we'd talk about everything. Stories of Grandma Ellen, who died when I was a baby, and how they opened the diner in 1973 with $3,000 and a vision to nourish their community. He pointed out the spot by the coffee station where he proposed to her. Jake never joined those dinners. He was always too busy. One Saturday morning in late November, Jake pulled up in his Audi and actually walked inside, surprising me and the regulars. Mrs. Chun, a 30-year fixture at table 4, nearly dropped her fork, and Tom, the Vietnam vet at the counter, raised an eyebrow. Jake gave Grandpa a theatrical hug, proclaiming loudly, "Hey, Gramps, just checking on you. You look fantastic." Grandpa beamed, always glowing when Jake paid him even the slightest attention. It broke my heart. After Grandpa stepped into the kitchen, Jake leaned close and whispered, still flipping burgers, "Lily, when are you going to make something of yourself?" I swallowed my anger, wanting to shout that I was keeping Grandpa's legacy alive, caring for the man who raised us after our parents died in a car crash on Interstate 5 when I was 12. Instead, I refilled his coffee and walked away because that's what waitresses do. We smile, serve, and bury our frustration. Grandpa passed on a dreary Tuesday morning in February, his hand in mine in his bedroom above the diner. I'd called Jake 3 times. He arrived 40 minutes later, still in his court suit, reeking of pricey cologne, 15 minutes too late to say goodbye. 2 weeks later, we sat in the conference room of Patterson and Howe, probate attorneys on Southwest Broadway. Margaret, the lawyer with steel gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses, opened Grandpa's will. Jake, composed in his charcoal suit, sat across from me. I wore a $30 black dress from Target. Margaret read the dense legal terms, herein, bequeath, aforementioned, but the message was clear. Jake inherited the $800,000 house at 1420 Laurel Crest Drive with all its contents. His eyes betrayed a flicker of satisfaction. I got James Corner Diner at 833 Northeast Mason Street with its equipment, furnishings, recipes, and a $50,000 valuation. The disparity hit like a punch. $50,000 versus $800,000. I'd sacrifice college, my social life, my 20s to care for Grandpa. Jake gave little beyond occasional calls and rare visits, yet Grandpa gave him 16 times more. Margaret noted I could contest the will under Oregon law, but it would be costly, lengthy, and unlikely to succeed since Grandpa was of sound mind when he updated it 6 months prior. Jake stood, shook Margaret's hand, and turned to me with that infuriating smirk. Guess waitressing is your calling, Lily. You'll do great with the diner. Maybe fix that neon sign. He left, likely already planning to sell the house. I sat, stunned, as Margaret gently touched my hand. I'm sorry, dear. I know this isn't what you hoped for. Hoped for? I hoped for fairness, for acknowledgement that my sacrifices mattered. Instead, I got a crumbling diner with a leaky roof, outdated equipment, and barely enough revenue to break even. 3 days later, unable to sleep, I went to the diner at midnight. The questions gnawed at me. Why didn't Grandpa love me as much as Jake? Was I not enough? In the dim light of the counter, I sifted through Grandpa's things in his tiny office, a closet-sized space stuffed with decades of invoices. His desk, a battered wooden relic from a 1975 garage sale, held a stubborn bottom drawer. Inside, among photos of Grandma Ellen, a Korean War medal, and my mom's baby shoe, was a manila envelope with my name in Grandpa's shaky script. For Lily, open when you're ready. Hands shaking, I opened it to find a 3-page letter in blue ink. My dearest Lily, it began. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and you're likely upset with me, thinking I favored Jake. Nothing could be further from the truth. In my 83 years, I've learned people need different things, and love means giving them what they need, not what they want. Jake needed the house, the money, something to sell for numbers in a bank account. He measures his worth in dollars. That's just who he is. He'll sell that house in a month, I'd bet, and in 5 years he won't recall what he did with the money. It means nothing to him beyond its price tag. But you, Lily, needed something else. A home, a purpose, a legacy that can't be sold. This diner isn't worth much in cash. The equipment's old, the building needs repairs, and profits are thin. But its value lies in memories, community, and love. This is where I met your grandmother in 1972, spilling coffee from nerves. This is where your mother took her first steps by table 7. This is where I held you after your parents' accident, vowing to care for you always. Jake would sell this place without a thought, and a developer would replace it with condos, erasing every memory. But you understand this diner's heart. You know Mrs. Chen's favorite booth because of the morning sun, and why Tom sits at the counter. I'm not giving you just a building, sweetheart. I'm giving you a purpose, a chance to create something beautiful that nourishes bodies and souls, a legacy that matters. The diner's worth may grow, not just in money, but in what truly counts: community, love, memory. Make me proud, Lily. I know you will. I love you more than all the pancakes in Portland. Grandpa. I read it 3 times, tears falling. The diner's worn booths became seats warmed by decades of families. The faded checkerboard floor mapped countless footsteps. The coffee stains marked endless conversations, heartbreaks, and celebrations. Grandpa hadn't betrayed me. He entrusted me with what mattered most. 1 year later, James' Corner Diner was transformed, yet true to its roots. I kept the booths, jukebox, and checkerboard floor, but upgraded what needed it. New appliances, a warm cream paint job, and a restored neon sign that glowed steadily. I partnered with local farms for a farm-to-table menu, keeping Grandpa's blueberry pancakes, pot roast, and strong coffee. Portland Monthly called us the city's best-kept secret, and soon lines stretched down the block. Mrs. Chun and Tom kept their spots, joined by bloggers, families, and tourists. I hired 3 new staff, paid off my student loans, and moved into a cozy apartment with exposed brick. I wasn't wealthy, but I was fulfilled, proud, and exactly where I belonged. Jake's year was different. As Grandpa predicted, he sold the house for $795,000, invested in a tech startup that collapsed, and faced a malpractice lawsuit after missing a filing deadline. The Oregon State Bar investigated, his firm let him go, and he lost his apartment and Audi. On a rainy March morning, year and a month after Grandpa's funeral, Jake walked into the diner, no swagger, no smirk, just jeans and a wrinkled shirt. He looked diminished. Sitting at the counter, I poured him coffee without a word. "Place looks great," he said softly. "I heard you're thriving. Packed weekends." I nodded. "We're busy. I'm grateful." He stirred his black coffee unnecessarily, then met my eyes. "Lily, I need help. I lost my job, everything. I know I don't deserve it, but I need work. I'll do anything. Dishes, trash, whatever." I studied my brother, who'd mocked me for years, who'd squandered $800,000 in a year. Part of me wanted to turn him away, but Grandpa's words echoed. "Love means giving what they need." "Kitchen," I said. "Dishwasher, $10 an hour. Show up on time, work hard. Respect everyone, especially the servers." Tears welled in his eyes. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. It's tough work." He worked harder than I'd ever seen. He arrived early, scrubbed pots spotless, helped Tom to his car in the rain, and learned everyone's names. 3 months later, during a break, he said, "I get it now. Grandpa knew I'd lose the money. He gave you something I couldn't ruin. He gave us what we needed." I smiled. "Took you long enough. Family isn't about what you inherit. It's about what you build." Have you ever felt overlooked by those meant to love you most? Have you found that the smallest gifts hold the deepest meaning? Share your story below.